Namo Buddhaya, Deepji, Namo Buddhaya, and whoever is joining through Zoom or through live stream, Namo Buddhaya. So, Namo Buddhaya. Okay, so we start today. Deepji, today what I've done is that uh, I've put these instructions. Okay, right. So we start with our meditation for 15 minutes, and we start with the meditation for 15 minutes, right? And these are the instructions. I hope we are clear on the instructions, and let us start our meditation. And right, okay. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and release. And gently bring your awareness on the belly or at the nostrils area, basically the breath, the in and out of the breath. Keep breathing. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. All your awareness on the breath. The mind gets lost. Bring it back to the breath. Come back to the breathing. In breath, out breath. Full awareness on the breathing. In breath, out breath. If the mind gets lost, bring it back to the breathing. Keep your awareness on the breathing, on the in and out breathing. Complete awareness on the breathing. Attention on the breathing. Breathing in, I know I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know I'm breathing out. Be totally aware of the breathing. In breath, out breath. Keep breathing, full awareness on the breathing. Complete awareness on the breathing. And now, as we come to the close of this meditation, we may take an intention that whatever merit we've generated from this meditation, may it go to all the beings who are suffering. May they find peace. May they be free from suffering. And whenever you're comfortable, you can open your eyes. Okay. So, just a second. So we continue the book reading. This is the book we are reading, Old Path, White Clouds. And okay, so we are reading from this page, uh, page 318. So I'll continue reading from this page. So this is basically when Swasti joined the Sangha, became part of the Sangha. So twice a month on new moon and full moon days, the bhikkhus gathered to recite the precepts. Each precept was read aloud, and the community was asked if anyone had failed to keep that precept. If no one spoke, the next precept was read. If someone had violated the precept, he stood up and made the confession to the community. With the exception of the four parajika, which is like killing someone or a sexual misconduct, those four parajikas, confession was enough to make amends. So confession was like this awareness. This is like the practice of bringing awareness to where, I fell short, right? And this, so there is this 2 days, full moon and new moon, which are very important in Buddhist tradition. And even myself, I have not started following this Uposatha observance days, which is basically days where even lay people observe the 8 or 10 precepts, like not indulging in any sexual activity, eating till noontime. Right? These are like the days where you commit yourself more to the practice. Right? So this is what is shown as what the monks do, that they recite the precepts, and even on these days, basically, they, even as lay people, we recite the precepts, we recite the three refuges, we build our confidence deeply into the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, right? Okay. On many days, Swasti was asked to join the Buddha's group for begging, joined by Sariputta and Rahula. That retreat season, they dwelled in the hills near the town of Ekarnal, south of Rajagaha. One afternoon, as the bhikkhus passed by rice fields near Ekarnal, they were stopped by a wealthy farmer from a noble caste named Bhardwaja. He owned several thousand acres. It was the season for plowing, and he was out directing the efforts of hundreds of laborers. When he saw the Buddha pass by, he stood directly in his way and said with some contempt, "We are farmers. We plow, sow seeds, fertilize, tend, and harvest crops in order to eat. You do nothing. You produce nothing. Yet you still eat. You are useless. You don't plow, sow, fertilize, tend, or harvest." The Buddha responded, "Oh, but we do. We plow, sow, fertilize, tend, and harvest. Then where are your plows, your buffaloes, and your seeds? What crops do you tend? What crops do you harvest?" The Buddha answered, "We sow the seeds of faith in the earth of a true heart. Our plow is mindfulness, and our buffalo is diligent practice. Our harvest is love and understanding. Sir, without faith, understanding, and love, life would be nothing but suffering." Beautiful lines. Bhardwaja found himself unexpectedly moved by Buddha's words. He asked an attendant to bring the Buddha fragrant rice simmered in milk, but Buddha refused by saying, "I have not shared these things with you in order to be given food. If you would like to make an offering, please do so another time." The landowner was so impressed by this that he prostrated himself before the Buddha and asked to be accepted as a lay disciple. Swasti witnessed this take place firsthand. He understood how much he could learn by remaining close to the Buddha's side. He knew that of the several thousand bhikkhus in the Buddha's Sangha, few had the good fortune to be as close to the Buddha as himself had. After the retreat season, the Buddha traveled northwest to spread the Dhamma. He returned to Savatthi at the end of the autumn. One morning, when they were out begging, Rahula strayed from mindfulness. Basically, his mind got lost. He was not mindful. Although he continued to walk in the file, that means in the group, his mind was elsewhere. He gazed at the Buddha ahead of him and wondered what the Buddha would have become if he had not followed the spiritual path. If he had become mighty emperor, what would Rahula himself be now? Thinking such thoughts, Rahula forgot to observe his breathing and steps. Even though the Buddha could not see Rahula, he knew his son had lost his mindfulness. The Buddha stopped and turned around. The other bhikkhus came to a halt. The Buddha looked at Rahula and said, Rahula, are you observing your breath and maintaining mindfulness? Rahula lowered his head. Okay, this is really deep. The Buddha said to dwell in mindfulness, you must continue to observe your breath. We practice meditation even as we beg. Continue to meditate on the impermanent and non self nature of the aggregates, which comprise all beings. The five aggregates are the body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Observe your breath and thoughts, and your mind will not become dispersed. The Buddha turned back around and continued to walk. His words served as a reminder to all the bhikkhus to maintain their mindfulness. But a few steps after that, Rahula abandoned the line of bhikkhus and entered the forest, where he sat alone beneath a tree. Swasti followed him, but Rahula looked at him and said, Please go begging with the others. I don't have the heart to go begging right now. The Buddha corrected me before the entire community. I feel so ashamed. I'd rather sit here alone and meditate. Seeing he was unable to help his friend, Swasti rejoined the other bhikkhus. On the walk back to the monastery, Venerable Sariputta and Swasti stopped in the forest to invite Rahula to walk back with them. As the monastery, at the monastery, Swasti shared half of his food with Rahula, and when they finished eating, Sariputta told Rahula that the Buddha wished to see him. Swasti was permitted to accompany him. The Buddha understood that Rahula was ripe to receive certain teachings. He said, Rahula, learn from the earth. Whether people, this is also there in the discourses, beautiful. We should learn from the earth. We should learn from the wind. We should learn from all these five elements. We should learn from the earth. When people spread pure and fragrant flowers, perfume, or fresh milk on it, or discard filthy or foul smelling feces, urine, blood, mucus, and spit on it, the earth receives it all equally without clinging or aversion. When pleasant or unpleasant thoughts arise, don't let them entangle or enslave you, right? So, in pleasant thoughts, pleasant situations in life, unpleasant situations in life, someone says something pleasant to us, someone says something unpleasant to us, we should be like that earth, so deep and so receptive to whatever comes its way, right? Learn from the water, Rahula. When people wash dirty things in it, water is not sad or disdainful. Learn from fire. Fire burns all things without discrimination. It is not ashamed to burn impure substances. Learn from the air. The air carries all fragrances, whether sweet or foul. Rahula, practice loving kindness to overcome anger. Loving kindness has the capacity to bring happiness to others without demanding anything in return. Practice compassion to overcome cruelty. Compassion has the capacity to remove the suffering of others without expecting anything in return. Practice sympathetic joy to overcome hatred. All this. Now, what is all this? Is all the right effort in the Noble Eightfold Path. One of the path is right effort, whereby we prevent unwholesome states from arising. If the unwholesome states have arisen, we abandon them. We try to raise the wholesome states in our mind, and the wholesome states have arisen, try to elongate them. Right? That's the right effort. So Buddha is saying this. Compassion has the capacity to remove the suffering of others without expecting anything in return. Practice sympathetic joy to overcome hatred. Sympathetic joy arises when one rejoices over the happiness of others and wishes others well being and success. Practice non attachment to overcome prejudice. Non attachment is the way of looking at all things openly and equally. This is because that is. That is because this is. Myself and other are not separate. Do not reject one thing only to chase after another. Rahula, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and non attachment are beautiful and profound states of mind. I call them the four immeasurables. Practice them, and you will become a refreshing source of vitality and happiness for others. Rahula, meditate on impermanence in order to break through the illusion of self. Meditate on the nature of the body's birth, development, and death in order to free from desires. Practice observing your breath. Mindfulness of the breath brings great joy. Swasti was happy to be sitting next to Rahula, listening to all that the Buddha had to say. Though Swasti had memorized sutras such as the turning the wheel of the Dhamma, which is the SN 56.11, the sutra that Buddha gave at Sarnath, and the nature of non-self. This is again a very important sutra. He felt that he had never tasted the subtle flavor of the Dhamma as deeply as today. Perhaps it was because he had not heard the other sutras spoken directly by the Buddha. The first sutta that he had heard directly was the sutta on tending water buffaloes. But at that time, he was not yet ripe enough to grasp many of its deeper meanings. Right? So this is how we are. You know, if unless we are ripe enough, we will not be able to grasp the teaching. Will only be grasped to the extent of what is our level, our consciousness level. So that's why the need to come back to the teachings. He promised himself that during his free time, he would recite all the suttas using his newly gained insight. That day, the Buddha also spent time teaching the two young men various methods of observing the breath. Though Swasti and Rahula had received similar instructions before, this was the first time they received it directly from the Buddha. The Buddha told them that the first fruit of mindfully observing the breath was overcoming dispersion and forgetfulness. Right? So the mind which has forgetting tendency coming back. Right? So breathing in, you are aware that you are breathing in. Breathing out, you are aware that you are breathing out. During such moments of breathing practice, focus your mind on nothing but your breath. Useless and scattered thoughts will cease, allowing your mind to dwell in mindfulness. When you are aware of your breathing, you dwell in mindfulness. Dwelling in mindfulness, you cannot be led astray by any other thoughts. That's it. That's the thing. When I am mindful, then it can be either it can be that I am mindful. Namaste, Namo Buddhaya Sandhya ji. Either it can be that I'm mindful right now, or it can be that I'm lost. Right? Dwelling in mindfulness, you cannot be led astray by any thoughts. With just one breath, you can attain awakening. That awakening is the Buddha nature that exists in all beings. Breathing in a short breath, you know that you are breathing in a short breath. Breathing out a long breath, you know that you are breathing out a long breath. That means whatever is the breathing, we just observe the breathing as it is, not changing it, not feeling that it is long, but it should be short. It is short, but it should be long, right? It's stiff, it should not be stiff. No, if it's stiff, something, I feel a stiff breath, I note it as a stiff breath, right? As it is, I am observing. Be totally aware of each breath. Mindfully observing your breathing will help you build concentration. That's so true. That's so true. With concentration, you will be able to look deeply into the nature of your body. And see, the thing is what the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh beautifully shares is, and we'll complete after this para, is mindfulness concentration, insight. That means through the practice of mindfulness, our mind gets concentrated, and through that concentration, it's like that example of that lens which you can focus it on an object, the cloth, the sun's rays on the cloth, and the cloth will start to burn. That kind of concentration we need to get the insight on the impermanent nature of things. Unless I have that deep concentration level, I will not be able to see the nature of the reality. I'll be stuck in the outside surface level things. For example, okay, another example of a gulab jamun. So I will keep, so it's not that I'm so obsessed with gulab jamun, but this is just an example. I, when I see a gulab jamun, if my mind is really, really concentrated, at one point I will start to see this craving. This is the craving for this gulab jamun that is binding me to this samsara. And that insight will free, free us, right? So concentration is very, very important. With concentration, you will be able to look deeply into the nature of your body, feelings, mind, and objects of mind, which are called sarva dharma. The Buddha had taught them wholeheartedly. His words were simple but profound. Swasti was confident that thanks to this special session with the Buddha, he would find it easier to maintain mindfulness of breathing and therefore would be able to make great progress in his practice. After going to the Buddha, Swasti and Rahula walked to the lake together. They repeated to each other all the things that the Buddha had taught them in order to remember them well. And this is what we can also do, coming back to the discourses. That means if we can come back to the discourse, middle discourse 118, which is the discourse that Buddha gave on the Anapanasati meditation, mindfulness of breathing. Coming back to the discourse MN10, reading that discourse, although the language is a bit kind of, repetitive, but this is Buddha talking, right? And these English translations are available thanks to websites like Sutta Center. I mean, wonderful work they have done, fully copyright free. These works they have made available to everyone. So coming back to what Buddha said again and again and again, and then one day, the knowledge will strike. Oh, this was what it is. This is what is non-self, right? So coming back again and again. So this is the book reading for today. We will cover chapter 50, handful of Bran, tomorrow, right? And I hope this session was useful. This reading was useful in some way. If you have anything, any questions, any sharing, do feel free to share. I hope you can unmute yourself also.
Namo Buddhaya, Vinodji.
Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya ji.
I want to share one thing.
Yes, ji.
Just 2 months back, I
Yeah.
was a very disturbed person. Okay, and like I can say, I was leading a very goalless life.
Yes.
And now, because of you, Buddha, and your sangha, our sangha, I became changed. Okay,
I'm
so thank you from my
No,
heart.
no, thank you to you. Thank you to you for being here, bringing your energy, and thank you so much for encouraging me also to continue these sessions. You are the most regular person in our sangha, so and the kind of questions you bring and the insights you share is very, very valuable. So very happy to know that Buddha's teachings are helping you, and thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Now, I have one question, Abhinavji.
Yes.
Buddha has taught so many things, like so many suttas, precepts. So, how bhikkhus could remember all those things?
Yeah. See, what I know of is that some suttas they had to memorize, not all, right? But some just like important ones are like the MN10, which is the Satipatthana Sutta, four foundations of mindfulness, non-self, dependent origination, then the mindfulness of breathing, MN118. I don't have the exact list, but some important sutras they had to actually because they had all the time, right? So maybe after afternoon they came and then they had to actually keep reciting and keep memorizing Then there was this sutta on the communal harmony, the harmony between the sangha. So some they had to memorize, uh, 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 which were very, very important ones. In all, there are many, many suttas, but I will try to gather which are the suttas that are the most important kind of. So what I'm currently doing is that on the channel is that I'm like doing individual videos, small videos on all the suttas. But I know for sure that I can, gather these are the suttas which are like very, very important, and so somewhere I will make that kind of a list, or if I find a list of like the top 10 suttas that we should all uh, remember, then I will share. What one thing that I come across is that, in the Buddhists, who actually follow the Buddhist path, some sutras like Satipatthana Sutta is so important that it is recited at the time of person's death. When the person is dying, he recited the sutta, because that thing rings in his mind, and accordingly his next birth is determined, right? So now, one more thing is that Buddha gave all these suttas, so it was practically impossible, and there was no recording that was done when Buddha was giving all these suttas, right? So, where from at that time, what happened after Buddha's death? So, as I think we have shared earlier also, there was a committee formed around 3-4 months after Buddha's death of around 500 arhants, fully enlightened bhikkhus, and amongst which one of them was Ananda. And then Ananda had this memory, and he was always with the Buddha in all the things. So and there is this story about that also, that you had to be an arahant. Arahant means fully enlightened, free from all defilements. But he did not. He was still a stream entry. He was still a stream entry till the night before that meeting. And they said that, we are doing the meeting, but we will miss you because you are the person. But the criteria is that you have to be an arahant to attend. And Ananda was the person who had all the knowledge, but he was still at stream entry level. So Ananda was all, trying that night before. I made a video on this also. He tried everything to, all the techniques what Buddha had taught him to be an arahant. But then it's like at the last watch of the night, what happened was, Arhant means not Buddha. Buddha is like a fully realized one. Buddha is like, I will say, at another category. Arhant is that level, final level where Nibbana, full freedom, full enlightenment. So Buddha, there are certain Buddhas who have come from time to time, and they help make Arhants fully enlightened ones. But Arhant doesn't equal to Buddha, right? Buddha is like way above them, right? Because Buddha, uh, you know, gave the teaching, gave the dhamma, right? So then when Arihant, when Ananda did everything, and then he lost everything, hope that I was not going to be done, and then he was just lying down, and from that standing to he became sitting and sitting, and then he was lying down, and he was just aware that he was lying down. He's like lying down, lying down, lying down, right? Which is what we do in the insight meditation. All our postures, becoming aware of whatever movements. Again, middle discourses 10, Satipatthana Sutra. And that lying down, where person is not even sitting, person is not even sleeping, at that lying down, he received the full arahantship, and he was able to participate the next day. Had it not been for that, we would not have got a lot of knowledge that was preserved in his mind. So, and that was like, say, it's the very unusual way, because before that, whoever had got enlightened was either standing, sitting, or lying down position. But this was in that uh, thing. So that was an unusual way how Ananda got enlightened. So Mahasi says that, and this is coming from actually Mahasi's Satipatthana Sutta book, which he wrote, and he said that enlightenment can happen any moment. Don't think that you are too far from enlightenment; it will never happen. Just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it, and it can happen, because what happens is we carry a lot of sanskars from the past as well, right? Definitely negative things also, but positive also. You never know. You might have been doing lot of such practices from in the past. Like I recollect when I did my Reiki attunement, and this was this realization. I could see myself in one of my lives as a child monk, all the robes and everything, right? So we have some kind of, training or something in our past lives of the Buddha. That's why we have come to this. Actually, we don't choose the knowledge chooses us. Yes, this is what I got. And I was doing this Reiki level 3, and this is doing that attunement. So you generally these things come up, past lives, recollections, and all this. And it was so, this like a flash. And then it was, as a child, I was like enjoying, as a child, I was enjoying with the other child monks, maroon robes. So we all have, and we all get the recollections also somewhere or the other in our journey, that we are connected with the Buddha, right? And so we are so fortunate, and it's just a matter of time that we had to get connected, right? So, and we continue that knowledge, continue our learning, and the aim is to reach the stream entry level, where next birth we continue the same, maybe from the birth itself, right? Right. So that is it. Anything else? I hope. Sandhya ji, on your question, actually, I think you were late today. I had actually posted this thing, the guidelines. So regarding your question, it is, you can keep attention on the nostrils, this upper lip, the this area, or the belly area, whatever works for you. For me, the belly area works. I mean, I cannot focus here, not at all. But it is different for different people. For me, the belly thing works, right? So the rise and fall of the belly. But again, no need for any particular. Buddha never in the, again, Satipatthana Sutta, it was never mentioned that you focus on a particular area of the body. It was on the breath. So now, but then what happens is, having an anchor as a particular area, and see, anyways, mindfulness is not easy, right? Anyways, you don't worship a statue, right? So any place of the body, if we bring our attention to, then that acts as like a kind of a, we make it a bit easier for ourselves, till we reach a particular level where, we don't need an anchor. And the very fact that if you have that kind of an anchor, I have seen a lot of anxiety in my life. So that was like coming back to the belly every time the anxiety rises. That helped a great deal. Yes, Deepji. So, anyways, it's difficult. So, uh, because there is nothing, no, there is no, uh, you know, it's like there's no support that you hold on to. It's like you are walking down the escalator or walking, yeah, you can just walking down you need a kind of a support or a, railing or something to hold your hand. But here, you don't have any support. Yes, the support is, and if you truly follow Buddha's practice, is the support of the three refuges. So generally, when you have anxiety, anger, what you do is that food, alcohol, uh, other things, TV, right, Netflix, or whatever you have, whichever subscription you have, right, binge watching and everything. So here we come to the three refuges: the Buddha, the qualities of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Dhamma, that is the teachings, and the Sangha, right? We seek refuge. Sangha. The meaning of Sangha is actually all the noble monks, this whole collection of noble monks who have carried Buddha's knowledge forward. So we come back to the refuge. And this is then for the deep practitioners. This is not for everyone. And that's why I always say, you need not to, convert yourself or something. You can follow your own religion and everything. But at one point, if you really want to go deep, then you come back to these three refuges, right? So whenever you feel, anxious, or, anger springs up, and, life is like all haywire, just recollect yourself, come back to the three refuges. Remember, we don't worship the Buddha. We revere our teacher who has given us all the knowledge, right? So even for that matter, statues and everything, that's also perfectly fine. But it's more of a reverence of the teacher. Not like, oh, I'll worship and you give me salvation. No. Buddha said it won't happen, right? So we revere the Buddha, his qualities, dhamma, and the sangha, right? And this is what we do in the observance days, especially observant days, which is new moon and full moon, which are considered the most holiest days. In Sri Lanka, they have holidays on these 2 days. I came to know, because they practice Buddhism. It's their official religion and all. So they have these 2 days are holidays there. These 2 days of the month. Okay, fine. Anything else? There's just one comment. Adarsh, Adarsh Kumarji, thank you for your comment on live stream. Hindi, sorry, it will not be possible. I have Adarshi. It is in English, so it will be in English. I will do something on Hindi, so you can reach me on WhatsApp, and I will share the link whenever I do a Hindi session. Shubham Amrutkar ji, you can reach me on WhatsApp. I will share the I've shared the WhatsApp number. You can reach out to me there, right? Okay, so we will close it for today. Sure. Okay, fine. We'll close it for today, and we'll meet tomorrow, 7 p.m. Okay, thank you so much for joining.